Welcome back to the 10 Principles of Experiential Brain-Based Learning. This is Module 5. And again, we will be taking one deep mindful yawn. I will ring the mindfulness bell. We will take a deep mindful yawn and go ahead and do a very slow motion movement or stretch as well. And listen to the tone. Really focus on the tone as you take your slow mindful movement, your deep mindful yawn. In this module, Principle 7 is rehearse and repeat. Repetition of very important information is needed. So on different days, go back and listen to a previous module or a previous course that you have already taken. Then share that information with someone else. Sometimes what I like to do is turn that into a Facebook post or write a blog about it. That's a good, really good way to get new information that you have gained out to the people who follow you, and also build your following by creating original content. And it's really just content that you gain from someone else sharing the content that you are now also sharing. So yeah, again, sharing is caring, especially when we turn it into Facebook post and blog about it. This particular form of rehearsal, that will make it more meaningful, and you will have the joy of being able to help other people along the path of enlightenment. Very important is that you're going to be exercising the creativity circuits within your own brain. That is going to really help you understand the material. We dig deeper, we understand better when we are able to teach someone else how to do something or pass along that information. And it feels good being able to teach somebody a new skill. Absolutely. There's a university researcher named Emre Dutzel. He explains how novelty is something that really motivates us and helps us with the learning experience. When we're able to see something new, we see it has a potential for rewarding us in some way. And this motivates us to explore our own environment for our own rewards. Anytime you see something that, oh, that piques my interest, I want to go learn more about that. Remember to use your social media skills, create a meme about whatever it was, using the 10 words or less, or create a blog if you want it to be longer. Then you can really grasp material, get it out to other people as well. And they're probably going to find that it's interesting as well. I really like this particular how your brain spikes in activity when we see something new. We see over here where the black arrow is, we're not seeing anything new. Nothing is enlightening us. And that novelty and creativity releases the dopamine, and that stimulates our learning and memory circuits. And as you can see in the picture, the brain scan image, if you mix new facts in with old facts, you actually end up learning better. So anytime you can add a little bit more information to something that you already know, you're deepening your knowledge about that particular subject. So if there's a course here with the eclectic entrepreneurs that you're really, really interested in, research it in another area as well so that you can gain just a little bit different information. That's going to trigger your mind to remember, oh, I remember I saw this over here. It's written maybe slightly different in an area where you found it somewhere else other than here. That's going to help you retain the information and then go out and share it with other people as well. Important information that we learn, it has to be repeated and rehearsed in novel ways. So it's like you're looking at this diamond, and each nugget of wisdom has different facets, although you need to look at it from different angles to really appreciate its entirety, its beauty. When we practice each lesson during the day, you want to innovate, experiment, and personalize those strategies. If you can relate something that you've learned to something personal within you, you're really going to have a better grasp of that material. You're going to learn it much easier. You're going to retain the information as well. We will take a deep, deep mindful yawn. And before we do that, if there's anything that you have found has been particularly insightful in that particular area, rehearse and repeat, jot that down real quick in your notebook. I'll give you a moment. And now we will take one deep mindful yawn. And our slow mindful movement. And anytime you hear a distraction like the beeping that you just heard, take a mindful yawn. Take it as an opportunity to take a break from what you're currently doing. I have a university professor that's a friend of mine. He used to get really annoyed when the cell phone would go off in class and he's teaching, until one day someone got a cell phone call and they really needed to take the call. So they took the call, and the professor then chastised him a little bit. And he said, I'm so sorry. I was really needing a job. If I didn't get the job, I was going to become homeless. At that moment, completely stopped the no cell phones in the classroom and let people be able to answer the phone if needed. He realized there are emergencies that occur, and to be mindful of what other people are experiencing and going through. So any kind of distraction that you receive, noises, sounds that distract you, take that time to come back. Take a deep mindful yawn. Feel it deep into your stomach. Notice any other areas where you might have felt greater relaxation. And then do just a nice slow motion movement or a nice big stretch. And remember, if you're not feeling the relaxation, you want to go slower. When you're first starting out doing this, it's new. So sometimes it's hard to figure out, okay, where's that feeling? Once you hit the feeling, like, okay, now I've got it. Now I know exactly what it is. Trust your intuition. Absolutely. We all have an inner voice. Some people call it the voice of God. Some people call it their inner wisdom. Some people call it their intuition. For this module, we're going to go ahead and refer to that voice as your intuition. Logic and reason are very, very important elements in education and problem solving and goal achievement. There are other cognitive processes that are also essential for building happiness, contentment, satisfaction. They involve the nonverbal levels of awareness. The best way that we can access this level of consciousness is to really observe and reflect without any judgment. Listen to what your voice says. Trust what you hear. If it feels like that might be a limiting belief, ask yourself, is that true? Is what just came up actually true? Many times it's going to say, no, that's not true. And you'll be able to then pinpoint, that's their belief. That's where I got that belief, and it attached onto you. You can then start to change those belief systems. And we talked a little bit about that in the first module, using our central executive network to really make that kind of achievement in changing your belief system. Using your intuition with that is really going to help. Your intuition is your salience network. So really paying attention to the levels of awareness, listening to yourself, listening to that you really do have all of the answers. You really do know what you need best. You know how you learn best. And incorporating these 10 principles into that learning experience is just going to give you greater knowledge and greater retention. And it'll be fun to see as you progress and like, oh yeah, that worked. This voice isn't language based. So there are voices of logic and reason. This particular voice taps into the creativity and the symbolic imagery that is generated by different parts of your neocortex. It then integrates that information into a more holistic view. So it allows you to see a broader picture, to gain more information. Some people also refer to it as that gut level response. So if you've ever, here's a good example. Somebody's trying to sell you something. It's overpriced. You don't want it. You know that you do not want to invest your money in that area, although somehow maybe they talked you into it. And you'll feel your stomach just kind of go into knots. Like, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, that was a bad decision. That's that gut level response. When you get that gut level response, listen to what your feelings are saying to you. And if it is screaming, no, do not purchase that XYZ. Listen to it. Don't get it. Otherwise, your gut level response is going to go crazy. Like, what did you just do? It provides us some really, really valuable information to the brain. The most important research shows that we all have that voice of wisdom and that it's governed by a unique spindle of neurons that are found in the anterior cingulate, which is around here, and then the insula, which is kind of around this little area. Those areas of the brain, they take many decades to mature, which is why when you have kids, as they age, they're able to make better and better and better decisions. When we are in our 20s, our brains haven't even yet fully developed. They develop for women around 27, 29. For men, they fully develop around the age of 29. That's the reason once you hit your 30s, you've got a pretty good level head. When you're in your 20s, you take a little bit more risk. And that's simply the reason your brain is still developing. And definitely when you're in your teens, you take a lot more risk and nothing is going to harm you. When we trust our intuition, we are less inclined to be manipulated by the advice of others. Remember the example of, I want you to purchase XYZ. I've given you a big sales pitch. I've told you the reasons it's going to be better for you. And that we'll say it's a facial cream. That facial cream is going to save you from having a facelift. Okay, maybe, maybe not. If that gut instinct is telling you run, then you need to run. Otherwise, you do feel manipulated by that advice of others when you realize, I don't want the surgery and I don't want the cream. I don't need either of those things. Your intuition transcends your outer knowledge. And it really is the most important resource that we do have. So when you are going through and you're observing the different courses that you can take, trust your gut. If your gut says, go take that one, go take it. You do not have to take the same courses that your friends take along the way. Trust your gut to know which course is going to be the most beneficial for you and of the most interest for you. We're going to take one more deep, deep mindful yawn, and we're going to do our slow movement again. And I'd like you to close your eyes for a moment and ask your intuition what your biggest insight has been so far throughout the course. And then once it pops up in your head, write that down. So if you haven't closed your eyes yet, close your eyes and ask your intuition, what has been my biggest insight throughout this course? And you can continue to ask yourself that question as you take other courses along the way. And then quickly just jot that down. I will see you in Module 6. There we are going to talk about taking frequent pleasure breaks, as well as developing unwavering optimism. I will see you there.